with the Jets and Watson, I will continue to maintain my stance that if he is traded before the draft, if the Texans decide they are going to move Deshaun Watson, I still think the Jets are the favorites to get him. It doesn't mean they will, but I think if there is a team that's in position, or there's not a team, I should say, that's in better position to acquire Deshaun Watson than the Jets. I don't think it takes this 4 first-round pick Quinn Williams package. I think it would take 3 ones. And if you're a Jet fan, here's the trade-off you make mentally to kind of understand the deal. You're swapping your second overall pick for Deshaun Watson and Jamal Adams. That's the trade. 3 ones, throw in some other picks, whatever. You recoup a second-round pick when you trade Sam Darnold, and off you go. You got 19 picks over the next 2 years. It's time to be aggressive. So, long answer to your question, TJ. I think if he's traded before the draft, it's the Jets, but I'm still not fully convinced. The Texans are definitely going to move him before the draft, and anything could happen if they decide not to trade him when the first round starts on April 29th.
I would go right now, the Jets would be the team. That would be the team where he would end up. He wanted to work with Robert Saleh. That was a consolation guy who was always in the back of his mind. That was a player, that was someone who had worked with the Texans in the past. That was a name that was a big-time player coach. And that's something that a lot of people I don't think understand. There are player coaches out there that make teams better because if they want to go to them. Sean McDermott was a player's coach as the defense coordinator in Carolina. And then he built a roster in Buffalo that was super talented in year one and only got better over time. You look at a guy like Ron Rivera and what he's done in Carolina and what he's done in Washington in 1 year. One of the most famous player coaches, someone who takes value of people, someone who takes value of a person's opinion. Saleh is right there. And a lot of New York Jets fans are excited to see if anyone from San Francisco and that defense is coming over this upcoming offseason to join them. There's 6 defensive players from San Francisco, all of whom said, I would consider going to the Jets. I love what Coach Saleh did. And that's something to look into. So having that, I think, does add value. Having an offense like Mike LaFleur, who is very similar to what Kyle Shanahan does. And everyone's talking about, oh, if Kyle Shanahan got his hands on Deshaun Watson, it would just be unfair to the NFL. Well, what if Mike LaFleur is just the exact same guy and he gets his hands on Deshaun Watson? Is that not unfair? Is that not uncommon? And then you look at the second thing, and probably the most biggest thing, the salary cap. How much salary cap New York has this upcoming offseason? They are not going to be able to go after a guy like Allen Robinson unless they trade for him, but they still could go after a guy like Kenny Golladay to be their number one receiver. They still have a couple of other options out there, like a Will Fuller, like a Curtis Samuel. They could go out and they can get a couple of probably low-end offensive linemen or defensive players, and they still would have an ample amount of money left to go get their quarterback. Now, you said 3 ones gets this deal done. I think it would be a little bit more. I think the 3 ones 100% is in there. I would say probably two threes.
Sure.
And maybe like a fifth.
Yeah, I meant 3 ones as like that's the starting point. You'll throw some mid-round picks in there. But the thing is, like, people talk about the Jets like they'd have to give up everything to get them. They have 19 draft picks over the next 2 years. They have 9 picks in the first 3 rounds over the next 2 years. So, yeah, it's going to cost a lot to get Deshaun Watson. But you went 2-14 last year, and you're swapping out the second overall pick for a quarterback who's 25 years old with a cap hit of only $10 million next year. So if you're the Jets, you're not just bringing in Deshaun Watson to win next year. You're thinking that you now have your guy for at least the next 10 to 12 years at the minimum. And that's why if I'm the Jets and I'm Joe Douglas, I don't really care what it takes. Within reason, of course. I'm not trading 4 ones in Quinn Williams, but I would do 3 ones and a bunch of 2s because I think he's that good, and that's the move to make. And that's why I believe the Jets are still in the power position here when it comes to a potential Watson trade.
And I think more on top of all that as well, you also have a few years before that cap really gets high. $10 million this year. I think it's 17.2 next year, which is still pretty low for a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, especially with deals that we've just seen where $75 million is immediately going to Dak Prescott before he even takes a snap this upcoming season. $66 million guaranteed. I mean, so there are definitely deals that can be done over the next 2 years. So the window of opportunity right now is huge. Now, I bring this question to you straight up. If this is the deal on the table, do you do it? All 4 first-round picks over the next 2 years. So Seattle's 2 and your 2 and 2 2s for Deshaun Watson. Do you get the deal done?
I would do it. I'm still kind of reluctant into thinking that it would take that much, though. As great of a player as Deshaun is, I think Joe Douglas is not going to bid against himself. And the Jets giving the Texans that second overall pick is more valuable than anything the Dolphins can give you, more valuable than what the Niners or Panthers could give you or the Bears. So I think the fact that that second overall pick continues to increase in value because of the Zach Wilson hype train we're seeing right now, I think it would only take 3 ones and some other picks to get it done. I could be dead wrong, but Cole, to answer your question, if that's what it took to get Deshaun Watson, hell yeah. If I'm the Jets, I think you got to do it.
I think it'd be interesting. I definitely think this year would be really interesting because of that number 33 pick is also going to Houston. So they would have the number 1 pick in round 2 because of, keep in mind, every year it switches. So Jacksonville holds 34, even though they were the number 1 team with the number 1 pick. So New York, Houston would start the second round. And what's crazy is Zach Wilson's agent is Bill O'Brien's agent. And Justin Fields' agent is Deshaun Watson's agent. So if neither one of them say, if this deal gets done and then David Mulugeta gets on the phone and goes, hey, listen, I am not coming back here. I am not dealing with this. Does that make that pick even more valuable if you are all sold on Fields as a team? Like if Carolina is sold on Fields as being their next guy and they're potentially moving up, Houston then could really fleece the deal done and go, hey, you want this done? You're giving me 79 this year. You're giving me number 8, and you're giving me your first round pick in 2022 and your third round pick in 2022. So then again, that's 4 more picks done. So that's 10 picks total for Deshaun Watson. And at that point, it's almost like you're not restarting, but you definitely are in a very good spot, kind of like the Jets are right now with 19 picks in the next 2 years to get this deal done.
Thanks for watching the full YouTube video. If you like what you saw, then please subscribe to my page for more content. Thank you.